Hi there, I'm Danny Flexen. Welcome to the latest edition of SecondsOut ReFLEXions. We're here every Monday at 4:30 p.m. to discuss some of the recent happenings in the world of boxing. And this week I do want to talk about Anthony Joshua's recent speech that's been well documented, especially on social media, at the Black Lives Matter demonstration protest in Watford, his hometown. And just the general furore that appears to have built up among certain sections of social media. Some calling Anthony Joshua racist, some threatening to boycott his future fights. And I don't agree with any of it. I thought it was a great speech. I thought for someone who's one of the most prominent sportsmen in the UK black community, you would almost feel disappointed, certainly as a person of colour, but even I would feel disappointed if he hadn't stood up and spoken about what he feels in this period since the death of George Floyd in Minneapolis. He's hugely famous, he's hugely influential. A lot of young black people look up to him, or a lot of young people generally look up to him. He can't be silent on this issue, and not only has he not been silent, he stuck his head above the parapet. He's known that this risks losing fans and losing money by virtue of losing fans or losing support, and he's done it anyway. Not only that, the first part of the speech wasn't even his words. It was from a friend of the movement, Reese, who couldn't be at the demo, and the speech, Joshua explained later on, was passed around to a number of people before Joshua took the lead, stood up and read those words out. Now, we can still believe that he endorses those views, otherwise why say them? And I don't have an issue with those views at all anyway, as I'll explain in a minute. But they weren't his words verbatim, and then he went on afterwards to talk about his own personal views. But let's be real if we can. There is absolutely nothing wrong with a prominent black sportsperson, a prominent black celebrity, suggesting or advocating the view that they should invest, or everyone should invest, in black-owned businesses as a way to fight inequality. It's not racist to do that, in the same way that it's not racist to say Black Lives Matter rather than All Lives Matter, because both statements have to be viewed in the same context, and that's of hundreds and hundreds of years of discrimination and inequality. If you want to put it in kind of basic terms, which probably demeans it a little bit, the black community in this country and in others is still playing catch up, and probably will be for a long time because of systematic, long-term historical discrimination against them. Now, all the stuff that's going on at the moment isn't going to redress that balance completely. And some of the stuff Joshua was talking about, like steering people away from gang crime, like investing big money in the black community, shopping at black-owned businesses and so on, they're the sort of things that offer a long-term support network for this kind of journey towards eventual equality, which, you know, most reasonable people would want. Even the people out there saying, oh, I don't like what Joshua said, I'm not sure what it means. Surely you want, on the base of it, as a philosophy, guiding philosophy of life, for communities to be equal, for all people to be equal, regardless of their skin tone. Or maybe just by virtue of the content of their character. I'm not saying that someone who commits, mass murder should be equal to a saint, but let's keep it as simple as possible. Black and white people should not be split by their race, and they should not be given advantages or disadvantages because of their race. I think most reasonable people would go along with that. They might not have liked the way Joshua said what he said. I had no problem with it myself. And I think a lot of people have misconstrued it as well, either by only putting part of the speech on social media, or by suggesting that when he talks about hitting them where it hurts and abstaining from spending money in their businesses, by the they're suggesting that he meant all white people. I don't think that's true at all. And the context of the speech underlines that he did not mean that. He meant racists. He meant do not prop up racist businesses and racist economies. Again, a completely reasonable view that everyone should really agree with. The only way we're going to get to inequality is by denying racist or discriminatory practices a platform or monetary value. And the other end of the scale is then investing in the ones that have been underprivileged for so long. It's basic economics, and I don't think it's reasonable to say, well, that makes him a racist. It doesn't make him a racist at all. It makes him a community leader for his community and someone who wants his community to thrive, not to the detriment of the white community or any other community out there, but in equality with them and ideally in harmony with them. You know, I've met Anthony Joshua a couple of times. I'm certainly not close to him. I don't know him particularly well, but he's never struck me as, you know, this divisive figure. I think he just knows he's got a strong ethical and moral code, and he's doing his best to, you know, be a leader at a time when his community is crying out for as much leadership and guidance as possible. I've got no issue with that at all. And anyone out there who thinks that's kind of pandering or whatever, I've hardly ever interviewed Joshua. I've got no reason to kind of suck up to him or worry about losing out on the gravy train. I'm not part of that gravy train particularly. I'm part of the boxing gravy train, sure. And by some kind of long-term effect, if Joshua gets knocked off and the UK boxing economy shrinks and that could affect me long-term, yeah, maybe. I don't know. I haven't really thought that much about it. But there's no personal attachment to Joshua. There's no financial attachment to Joshua. I've got no reason to say this, but what I believe. You know, I've never been this great crusader for social equality. Obviously, I believe in my heart, as most people do, that it's an aim we all want. But it's not been something, I haven't been out on the streets at the protests or anything like that, and I'm not going to claim to be all of a sudden. But the fact is, his speech summed up everything that you want to hear, really, because it diverted people away from channeling their energies in the wrong way in terms of gang violence, postcode wars and so on, and in the right way in terms of building an economy and getting to equality the best way, the most practical way and the most efficient way. I don't think I've ever respected Joshua as much as when I heard that speech. I've seen things in the past, like the stuff on Instagram with Eddie Chambers, which I didn't approve of. I've liked him in the ring sometimes. Other times I felt he's got things wrong, both in the ring and outside. I've never been a huge fan, but I've never been a massive detractor either. This has put me firmly in the fan camp, and I've got no problem saying that even as a journalist, because I think people need to fight for something. You know, it might not be racial equality, it might be something else. It might be anti-domestic abuse, it might be sexual equality, it might be anti-homophobia, it could be anything. But people need a cause, people need something to believe in. You know, you can't just go through life, I mean you can, but in my view, you shouldn't really go through life just not being bothered about anything that happens. I think it's important to be engaged, it's important to believe in something, and then to act on those beliefs as much as you can. And that's all he's done, in my view. And I'm sure a lot of people commenting on this are going to say different and that it's wrong and he shouldn't have said it and it's against white people. And those same white people have lined his pockets and Eddie Hearn's pockets. And Eddie Hearn's one of the white people that's lined his pockets. And we could go round and round. But I don't think one is at the detriment of the other. I think there's no problem with anyone investing in Anthony Joshua and then him encouraging people to invest in a community that's been underfunded for hundreds of years and discriminated against for hundreds of years. I have no issue with it at all as a middle-aged white man who lives in Snodland, which is one of the whitest communities you're going to find anywhere in the southeast. But that's just my view. Obviously, let me know what you think below. You can disagree, no problem with that at all. Try and keep it relatively clean though, so we don't have to delete the comments. We don't want, you know, too much swearing or borderline kind of inciting hatred type speech. But be good to hear what you've got to think regardless. I'll be back Thursday for FLEXpectations, 4:30 PM, and next Monday for the next ReFLEXions at the same time. Thanks very much, and I'll see you all soon. Cheers.